What's happening, guys? Mantas back with you again with another video. So I've been getting a lot of messages from a lot of people out there, especially tall guys have been contacting me a lot in order to ask for training advice and how I train and all that. I'm 6'7", I'm currently 245 pounds, something like that, or 112 kilograms. So I've decided actually to make a video and talk about the tips for tall guys and how to train and how to gain muscle and just how to progress in your bodybuilding journey in general. So if you're about 6'2" or onwards, you might find some valuable information in here. So keep watching. I'm gonna be sharing with you the tips that I've used for myself in order to build muscle and gain size, and just how to get stronger at the same time. So the first step for tall guys is full range of motion. This is the staple tip that you should be using for yourself. And range of motion, especially for tall guys, it's so important because we have long leverages and our amplitude is really big. So we have a long way to travel, especially on squat, deadlift and bench press. Because of our long limbs, we have a long amplitude to travel. Therefore, it sometimes can be harder for us and our muscles might fatigue quicker as well. But you shouldn't be worrying about it. Even though if your muscles might fatigue quicker, don't drop full range of motion, because range of motion is probably one of the most important things that comes to the training for tall guys. So let's say a short guy has this range of motion. For a tall guy, the range of motion goes over here. You still need to put in that work, concentrate on full range of motion and complete exercise in a full range of motion. Then you will be able to fatigue your muscles in their fullest potential. So range of motion is really important. Make sure to consider range of motion as the first thing on your training. Even if you can't lift as heavy weights, still try and focus on that range of motion, because trust me, eventually you'll build up that strength and your range of motion is just gonna benefit your training and your progress. So the second thing that I would like to talk about is focusing on compound movements. That's a really important thing, because tall guys, they tend to be quite weaker in certain movements. So especially what I've noticed, that tall guys don't really have a strong squat. They sometimes find themselves in an awkward position and they can't lift as heavy on the squat because they have a long range to travel as well. Try and focus on the compound movements first. So deadlift, bench press, squat, bend over rows and all these movements, they should be included in your training program as the first exercise. That's what I personally do. I start my exercises with strong compound movements because they do make you stronger, and once you start working on that form on your compound movements, you're gonna get stronger, you're gonna build a lot of size. And this is one of the things that you should be considering. Compound movements will give you the most strength gains and will tackle your central nervous system the most. That's why you should be concentrating most on the compound exercise and try and lift as heavy as you can, especially on the compounds. When you start your exercises, you start your training program, start with the compound exercises, so you know you can use most of your energy levels, you can use most of your strength and get stronger at the same time. So the next thing that I would suggest for tall guys is using free weights. Try and avoid a lot of machines because they only isolate your muscles, and on some machines you can't even have that full range of motion because of your long limbs and the long leverages. You might sort of be limited on certain machines like chest press. You can't contract your muscles fully. That's why I would suggest using free weights most of the time, because they don't just work the muscles that you're trying to isolate, they also work different muscles that actually support the lift. So especially when you do bicep curls with dumbbells, for instance, instead of doing it on the preacher curl or cables, when you use dumbbells, you use your shoulders, you use some of your forearms, and you can actually have the full range of motion. Because when you try and do exercise on some preacher curl machines, like me, from my personal experience, I can't have the proper range of motion on some of those machines. So I try and avoid preacher curl machines, and not every preacher curl machine actually suits me. And that goes literally to every machine out there, because not all the machines allow full range of motion, especially for tall guys due to their long limbs. So try and use free weights as much as you can. I'm not saying ditch machines completely, because they do help to emphasize on certain muscle groups, but I'm saying try and focus more on your form and try and develop that form and that strength by using free weights most of the time. The next thing that you should be considering, that it takes time to actually fill out your frame. I've got a torso dominant body, so it takes a bit of time for my limbs to catch up, especially for my arms. My arms are probably one of the muscle groups that take most of the time to catch up to the rest of my body. That's why I train it frequently. So the muscle groups that are really hard for you to build, try and train them as frequent as you can, obviously by giving enough time in the meantime to rest. Have a proper adequate rest, but at the same time you should be training them frequently, and tackling those muscle groups frequently will actually allow you to make most of the gains. A lot of tall guys, what I've noticed as well, whenever I see someone tall that's lifting and asking me for advice, or if I'm giving advice to someone out there on social media or something, they always try and find an excuse of tall guys having more difficulty to build muscle. What you have to find out is that we build muscle at the same rate as everyone else, and the short guys, including guys that are over 5 foot or even just below 6 foot. We build muscle at the same rate, but what makes a difference for us is due to our long limbs, it takes time for our frame to be filled out. Let's use an example of building a wall. For instance, if you're building a wall that's this long and the other guy is building the wall about this long, and they're building a wall at the same rate, so obviously the guy that is building a shorter wall will build it higher in the same amount of time than the guy who builds a longer wall in the same amount of time. So it just takes time, guys. It takes time, patience and consistency to actually fill out your frame, because when I started lifting I thought it's freaking harder for taller guys to build muscle, but it's completely nonsense. We build muscle at the same rate, and it's not harder for tall guys to build muscle. It just takes more time for you to fill out your frame, and that's basically it. So work hard and eventually you will start seeing results. It just takes time. Nothing happens over the night, guys. Rome wasn't built in the day either, so just keep working. And another thing that I would like to emphasize is a lot of guys, especially tall guys that I have encountered, they say tall guys need to work harder to build muscle. I mean, that's completely nonsense, because that's how you limit yourself. You think, oh, it's harder for you to build muscle and all that. It's hard to build muscle in the first place, regardless if you're a tall guy or a short guy. And what people tend to say as well, oh, tall guys need to work harder to build muscle. No, that's completely nonsense. That's actually irrelevant. You have to work the hardest you can. You have to become the best version of yourself. I have the mindset myself of being the hardest working person in the room. I don't really care how other people work. I know I can work at my fullest potential. I know I can work the hardest I can. That's why results speak for themselves. Because when you're gonna try and think that tall guys need to work harder to build muscle and stuff like this, or to get results in the first place, you automatically start limiting yourself. You start putting yourself in some sort of standards of tall guys having a lot of difficulty, and if you're a short guy it's better off for you. No, I mean, lifting, bodybuilding and fitness should be approachable to everyone, regardless if you're tall or short. You always have to work the hardest, and the harder you work, the easier your results gonna come, and the quicker your results gonna come as well. So just keep working hard, man. Don't try and limit yourself of tall guys having a difficulty to build muscle, and it's really hard for tall guys because of their long limbs, their long leverages. No, just be the hardest working person in the room, and your results gonna start coming eventually. Like I said before, guys, this is the most important thing. It takes a lot of freaking time to get results. It doesn't happen overnight. It never has happened overnight, because if it did happen overnight, we would be walking around looking like Arnold Schwarzenegger, and it doesn't happen. So just appreciate the journey, appreciate the grind, and just keep working the hardest, and keep putting that 100% of work, because that's when you're actually gonna start seeing results, guys. So that's how I would like to wrap up this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed these little tips. I hope you can extract some positive information, some tips from this video, because I've been receiving a lot of questions, especially from tall guys, on how to build muscle and how to get results. I thought it would be a great idea to actually make a video about it and just speak about it for a little bit, so you guys can have a sort of idea from a tall guy's perspective. As I said, I'm 6'7". I've been training for over 4 years, and I've never actually had this sort of mindset of having a difficulty because I'm tall. I just try and work the hardest, and that's what you should be doing as well. Just try and work the hardest, put in that 100% of work, and your results gonna start coming eventually, and you're gonna stand out because of your height and because of your frame. So thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.